So welcome back to the Global Champions podcast. We are back for a third episode today as we look back on the teams meetings today coming out of Tokyo 2020. We're coming to you live from Tops International Arena in Valkenswaard in the Netherlands, where the sun, especially in Dutch terms, the sun has really come out to play. And you'll notice behind me as well, we currently have the Longines Global Future Champions event that is on the go. So those are not props. That is not a green screen. That is a live event taking place at Tops International Arena. So very cool to have some live show jumping action behind us as we continue down this path of our Global Champions podcast. You will notice new faces alongside us as we have been doing all week long. We'll get to them in a moment. Frederick de Backer, welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
Ready to go? Team action. Lineup set to go. We'll explain it and unpack it all later. Good day today for you?
A very good day. I wasn't satisfied after the final of the individuals.
Because your ice cream came first.
Because I ate my ice cream too quickly.
Oh, too quickly.
But this was much better.
Okay, so the ice cream was not eaten too quickly. Our two guests that are joining us today, on my left, Angelica Augustsson Zanotelli. Hi, Angelica. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You have had a very emotional day for a lot of reasons. Have you regathered yourself? Have you calmed down again now?
I still feel the adrenaline.
We posted a lovely video, by the way, on our Longines Global Future Champions. That's that event over there. That's not where we posted it. It's on the Longines
Global Champions Tour is what it's called.
Tour. Yes, thank you. So there was a lot going on in my brain there. We posted a video of you watching Marlon jump today. And do you want to just very quickly take us through emotionally what it is like for you to sit however many thousands of kilometers Tokyo is away from the Netherlands and have to stare through a TV screen and watch Marlon jump?
It's tough. It's in general anyway to stand on the side is hard because you cannot do anything. You can just hope and pray that everything is going to go well. And to being so far away from him and to just watch him on the screen is hard.
He did very well. We'll unpack that a little bit later on. And again, if you want to go check out Angelica's reaction, Longines Global Champions Tour, that's the Instagram. Go check it out. Lucas Porter on our right. Thank you for coming through, man. We're really, really happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I see you're rocking the Texas belt buckle as well. Is the tradition?
Didn't even see
is the tradition not meant to be a much bigger belt buckle? Like that's the least Texan belt buckle I've ever seen.
Yeah,
you have the Longhorn.
I thought about bringing my big rodeo buckle, but I thought we were just doing a show jumping event today, so
and it is a
just brought
podcast.
The minimal one.
Are you a little bit Floridaized? Has that taken away the big Texan belt buckle we expected today?
You know, I haven't lived in Texas for a number of years now, but I never forget where I came from, you know. So
absolutely.
Sometimes the Texan accent comes out every now and then, but I almost always wear my Texas buckle.
I love it. I love it. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Very cool to have you. Your thoughts, your quick reaction to today? I mean, do you enjoy yourself watching the action today?
For sure. You know, I'm a huge sports fan in general, and obviously I'm a professional show jumper, so to watch the Olympic Games and to watch the show jumping team qualifier is obviously always exciting. We had a number of surprises, some not expected, but some rounds that I thought would go as they did, some rounds that really shocked me. And so, it was a really lovely day to watch the competition with you all here. And I'm looking forward to unpack it all.
If you want, we can bring the big TV screen off the wall and put it here, because you were telling us that every single night you sit in front of the TV and watch like an entire wrap of the Olympics day each day. Is that correct?
On Dutch television.
On Dutch television, yeah, exactly. Sorry, that's a very good point. It's not as if for whatever reason you are not. You're watching this on Dutch television. You're big into the Olympics?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm not sure if I watched it on the Dutch TV because I like the NOS. I for sure like the coverage, but
there's lack of options.
Where we are in the Netherlands, Twente. There's not so many channels that we have on our TV anyway. So the NOS on the first channel is the best option we have. My favorite option.
He goes from the state of Texas and then moves to the region of Twente. From Texas to Twente, talking about a culture shock.
Angelica,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure as a proud Swede, you too sit every night and watch every single minute of Sweden's action in the Olympics, correct?
I do watch every piece of show jumping.
You see how she just U-turned at the end. I do watch all of it, just the show jumping part of it. Shall we maybe start on what today offered the riders, Frederick? Maybe before we get to Marlon's voice note, he sent us some reaction. Your thoughts on the course that you watched today? I mean, I know we all have our expectations, our views, but your thoughts on what was put together today by Santiago Varela? Because I thought it looked intimidating.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clears. 5 clears inside the time, and you know I'm bad at math.
3 of them are Swedish.
No, I wasn't going to go there.
That wasn't
just
the
yet. That was
calculation,
not
by
the
the way.
calculation.
And 1 Brazilian.
And
That still
You-
wasn't the
yeah.
calculation, but you
come
make
for
a good point.
4 out of 5 you have influence on.
Yeah.
That's impressive. No, 19 times 3 is 39 plus 27. That's 57. 57 and 5 jump clear.
That was really good for a guy who doesn't do good maths.
No. Yeah.
That was very good.
I should have prepared it, but that's also another problem of mine. But so
What does that tell you about the course that was
Oh
set
yeah,
today?
thank you. I
was
thought that
bringing
you
you
wanted
back.
to say. What does that tell you about you? What does it tell us about the course when 5 of 57 jump clear? When there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 time faults.
It was
Lucas.
tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. No, for sure. It was also the course itself was difficult, but for many of the horses, it was also their first, second, third day of jumping. And if they jumped the warm up as well, it was maybe the 4th day of jumping plus all the warm up fences. You know, we're now all the horses have jumped already quite some fences. It's warm, it's humid in Tokyo. We're starting to see some horses get a little gassed, and so perhaps it wasn't as big as the individual final. Perhaps it felt bigger because the horses, you're not sitting on as fresh of a horse as you were perhaps 2 days ago.
But it was much more technical than individuals round 1. And talking about the elephant in the room, if you have a fresh horse that comes in, a horse that hasn't jumped, it's not a guarantee for a clear or for a good result. On the contrary, Shane Sweetnam.
Yeah, that we saw today, yeah.
So
Yeah.
because it is bigger, and you come into you out of the blue ride a 5-star Grand Prix. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And then you see that it's difficult to bring in a fresh horse.
Yeah, for sure. You know, on one hand, bringing in a fresh horse like Alejandro was with Shane. He hadn't jumped the 2 rounds before. He had just jumped the warm-up class. He was fresh for sure. Perhaps, on the other hand, it was from maybe a smaller warm-up to such a big event. It was perhaps too big of a shock.
That's what I mean.
But on the other hand, how I saw, being an American, how I saw McLean's horse jump today, Contagious, he looked really fresh. He looked really ready to go.
Yeah.
Contagious hasn't jumped the 2 individual rounds, as many of the horses have yesterday. Perhaps he has a little extra in the tank to give everything tomorrow.
Shall we paint the picture before we go on very quickly, if you don't mind? We did manage to get a voice note. Surprise, from Marlon today, just about the course. And maybe then before we continue, let's just quickly paint the picture in case you have missed today's action. This then, from Marlon Zanotelli today, is his breakdown of what Santiago Varela put up for the riders today.
My plan at the moment is 2 to 3 nice 8, and then 7 middle to middle, try to get to the base of the triple bar, go into the triple, sit up inside, squeeze but keep the contact on C, and then nice 4 into that work after the triple is a little bit open. Go back into the wall, and then it's normally a short 4, maybe it's gonna be not so short because of the wall. And then for me, outside 7, I think a few is gonna maybe go inside 6, outside 7, move up on the 6 after that Oxer to the vertical with the Liverpool back. Then rhythm all the way around, Oxer, keep moving, and then we have this last line, which is a bit tricky. It's 5.5 to double vertical with planks, and then short 5 afterwards. Yeah, technical enough course. I think it's going to be a lot of faults.
A lot of faults was the call there at the end from Marlon as well.
There's a few things that I've heard the sound note already a few times. There's a few things that pop out for me straight away. The first question is to you, Angelica. For anybody listening, when Marlon talks about running into the triple combination, then says squeeze but support. What does he mean? Jumping out with the triple.
He's talking about what he's going to do with his legs. You need to give leg going out. But if you give them a kick, they might go too quick. So you need to squeeze, yes, to give them a nice impulsion in the movement.
Is that what he's thinking about of the first round of the individuals? In his triple combination?
Exactly. There he believes that he maybe gave a little bit too much of a push.
And got him too forward. And here he wants to still keep the energy, but keep him controlled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was his mental state going into today? Because we spoke about him quite a lot in the individuals because
Yeah.
he had a really strong ride. I think a lot of people were very impressed. We know how the individual shaped up and how there was so little room for error. And unfortunately, that tiny little room for error cost him in the individuals. Psychologically, was he raring to go today? Was he hurting from round one or from the individuals? What was he like going into today?
He was actually good. He was happy with his horse the first day. He felt really good. He was happy enough with his ride. So he went in with good confidence. And Marlon, he is an extreme team player. And in my opinion, he gets even stronger when he rides in the team. So he had a very good feeling. I believed that he was going to jump clear today, that he had a good chance. So yeah, he was with a strong mind going in for today's class.
And then there's a second thing that he mentions in the note, and that maybe can define this class even better. He talks about a very technical class. Okay, we had again, you've got lower ranked nations, so there's a mix. Was this class more delicate than it was raw scope, or where should we rank this course?
I would say the last line was playing a big role today.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a combination of both. Perhaps it leaned more towards the delicate side. You know, the last line, like Angelica says, was with the 5.5 strides to the double of verticals of planks. The vertical with the Liverpool underneath was quite a delicate fence. Many horses misjudged that vertical and towed it off. But that being said, the triple combination was still quite a scope test. You know, a triple bar coming in, which was quite a big triple bar, a vertical in the middle, which required quite a careful horse, and then a big oxer coming out. You know, so. But that's what you can expect at the Olympic Games. Is that perfect combination or that difficult combination of delicate and massive, and I want to say. Quite some spooky fences, you know.
And a short time allowed.
Short time allowed. Jeroen's Double Dom, who is my coach, is there coaching the Israeli team, and I had him on the phone the other day, and he said at almost all the championships, the fences are really spectacular. You know, the countries really put quite some effort into them and think about the design of the fences, but at this games, they're even more than spectacular. So we've seen a number of fences over the last few days that are just incredible. I mean, we've all seen now on Instagram and all the different social media channels the sumo wrestler. Exactly. But there were even new fences today, you know, that were still a surprise for the horses. I mean, I can straight away think of the third fence, for example. Almost all the other fences on the course are, except the wall, of course, which is a complete fence. Almost all the fences are just poles, you know, a number of poles, quite some air in between. The third fence had this quite massive, impressive sort of train at the bottom, which drew the horse's eyes to the base to then perhaps forget about the poles on top. I mean, Clooney, I think he's 14 or 15 years old. He's jumped every show in the world, almost won at every show in the world at this stage. He has all the experience in the world. And he even perhaps had a look at it.
And gets a fault there.
He didn't have a
No,
fault.
yeah.
He didn't have a fault, but
it was
he
an uncomfortable
did
jump.
have a look, you know, which just shows the perhaps the cleverness of Santiago and Louis Koenigs as his assistant to sort of include new fences each and every day to continue surprising the horses and riders.
With all that said, was 82 seconds too unforgiving on a track like this? Do you feel that it could have maybe gone a bit further?
I think the time allowed was good. I think it should be a little bit short.
And we had a lot of time faults, but that's a different situation because we had a lot of riders that, and that's also something to discuss. We had a lot of riders who came in with the knowledge that we had a whole group of countries or eliminated or on very high scores. They didn't have to worry about jumping faults anymore.
Yeah.
They didn't have to worry about time faults anymore. It was not going to come down to time faults. Well, it did for a few in the end, but it was, you know, don't worry. Take your time. Have the time fault. Belgium come through with 4 time faults.
To me, it seemed sort of as the competition went on and sort of perhaps the cutoff score or the cut score that would get you into the top 10, that would get you into the tomorrow's final. as that became clearer and clearer, the later nations then decided just
Different tactics.
Change the
just sort of
approach.
survive, you
Yeah.
know, eliminate the sort of catastrophic score and perhaps take 1 or 2 time faults like we saw some from some of the later nations.
Yeah, like Waterloo. Yeah.
Yeah, and for example, we saw a time fault from riders like Daniel Deusser or 2 time faults from Waterloo. These riders normally don't have a time fault on such a course, but they knew they had a little bit of this buffer, and so they instead perhaps just thought about having a good feeling throughout the course, still staying competitive because obviously you have to for your mentality and for your horse's mentality in the Olympic Games, but think less about the time and more about the jump of your horse, thinking already about tomorrow.
Team coaches sending their team riders in with the message, don't get distracted, don't get lured into Santiago Vrella's game, don't worry about the time, ride your own round and don't be pushed by the time allowed. That's basically what we saw here.
Yeah, you could see exactly like we heard that by the end of the course they did take their time a little bit more. They did allow themselves a little bit more time to not do any mistakes on the jumps. But one thing back to the course, what we were talking about before, the rollbacks. How in every round, how many problems we got with those short rollbacks, like actually to the left every time.
Yeah. First day, roll back to the samurai.
Yeah, the white vertical.
Second day, roll back to the double of uprights.
Right.
And now today, roll back
to the wall.
To the wall again.
And we had a few horses passing to the left.
Yeah.
On the wall.
And every time the samurai, or there was something on the right.
Something on the right side, which made them continue on a
Turning.
circle.
And the left hand bend.
Yeah.
Continue turning.
Yeah.
Run out. Because that's we saw a lot of faults. That's literally that fence nearly gave you a heart attack, because we had we had Marlon on a brilliant clear, we had Pedro Venice and Krabit Lille on 5.
Yeah.
There was all the time in the world. There was a massive score. There was a massive cushion, and then Rodrigo with Carlitos Way.
Oh.
My oh my.
Yeah, that was for sure
because it happens. It starts on what Lucas speaks
on
about, on the trains.
Number 3.
And then...
strong ride from Rodrigo to actually manage to jump that fence, make the horse go and to jump it clear. And then it continue on that track a little bit.
Yeah, that was for sure a shock, you know. Brazil at that stage was fairly comfortably in the cutoff, in the top 10 for tomorrow. And perhaps that mentality that I was just talking about, where just survive, came back to get him.
Yeah.
Because perhaps he was thinking, I just want to have a good solid round. We're in for tomorrow. I'm barring anything extreme happening. And perhaps you use a little less pressure in 1 or 2 places, and then something like that can happen, you know.
A horse going in for the first time today.
Exactly, as well.
Yeah.
So it's a fresh horse, but it probably the horse was perhaps a little bit shocked by what it was now seeing compared to what it has seen a few days ago in the warm-up class. And fortunately, he has the experience and the strength to continue to finish the round and to continue to let Brazil jump tomorrow. But we almost saw Brazil out of the top 10 finals.
That potential approach, though. Sorry, Frederick.
Yeah, no, it's 8th place in the end for Brazil on a score of 25. It's 9th place for the Netherlands on a score of 26. That's 1 time fault. And it is 10th place and the last to qualify for Argentina on 27.
And that's Rodrigo, Brazil had 25 faults and 20 of them came from one rider.
Yeah.
But that maybe speaks about, and this is an interesting topic that I want us to unpack. You're suggesting that maybe he was more conservative because they were in a good position.
I don't know if he was, but
sure.
You know, when maybe they had known that 27 was sort of around what they had to beat to get into the top 10. He wanted to have a good solid round. Of course, he wants to jump clear still for his country, but if he has to fight to give everything, perhaps maybe, who knows, that doesn't happen. You know?
But that speaks about the format, and I know that this has been a hotly discussed topic off air, and I'm excited to open it here on air. But while you start to generate your ideas around the format, I want to ask the room, if we take a look at the highest scores today, they all come from the 2nd tier countries, right? And we say this with due respect. We are not, you know, knocking on these countries. It's a reality. They are, developing the sport, growing the sport. They are making sure that they use this opportunity to grow and develop further. But if you take a look at the highest scores that have been produced over today's nations, right? Czech Republic 45, China 35, Morocco 37, New Zealand 39. Is this space a real opportunity to grow the sport, or are these teams not realistically in with any chance based on the format?
There's a lot to say about it. It's a great window to showcase the sport and to attract new countries and to attract new interest. That's one, and I think they've done that. Also in the individual final, we saw Egypt, we saw Japan with a fantastic results. However, the big question is now: have the top countries really been tested?
And is the gap too wide? That's the question as well.
Angelica.
I think that's interesting what you say. Has the top teams been tested? Is it enough to, or should you be going to the second round with such a big score?
Or should you go into the jump off? Should you go into the final?
I think
without being put under pressure, like you say. You're later to go as those higher ranked teams, and you see what is happening, and you've got that margin. So, if we're talking about Belgium, we're going to talk about Sweden later. Switzerland, they were, of course, they had to produce a result, but it's not with, and I say this carefully, it's not with a knife on the throat. It's not the real battle.
I think the top countries were for sure tested today. I think one thing that perhaps could be looked into is that the falls should carry over into the second round, because
And let's make
for
that clear.
Sweden,
That's a good comment, actually.
For Sweden to jump 3 clear rounds today in what was quite a difficult track, still was quite a difficult track. They jumped 3 clear rounds. Their horses jumped fantastically. The riders rode to the books, and for them not to have an advantage against a country that is coming into the final with 27 points, I hope for them that they don't have an unlucky fault each, perhaps end up on 12, and perhaps a country that just sneaked into the final has a super day and walks away with a gold medal, where Sweden, who had jumped 3 amazing rounds today and rounds throughout the whole week, they should have an advantage.
Your tone suggests that it's not a fair format.
It's not to me, it's not fair that the team event is not over
2
all
days.
the rounds
Yeah.
that the team jumps.
Angelica, fair, not fair?
Yes, they have one advantage though about the starting list tomorrow.
They go
They
last.
will go out last, so they will know a little bit. But yeah,
Can I challenge the room and use an example like athletics? Because this can almost be seen as a semi-final to get into the final. If you are a sprinter or a long distance, doesn't matter. If you're in athletics, you run your semi-final heat, even to swimming, same scenario. You have your semi-final heat that has no bearing on a final whatsoever. You come out for the 100-meter sprint on purpose. The top sprinters are not going to run a 9:70 in the semi-final because they want to keep gas in the tank.
That's not true.
They need to qualify for the semi. They need to qualify out of the final, but they won't break a world record in the semi. They run comfortably. They qualify. They keep gas.
It depends who you meet in the semis.
Sure.
Yeah, no.
No, you make a valid point.
If you run against both in the semis,
Yeah.
you
But
get pretty unlucky.
But you know that you just need to beat the guy next to you. You don't have to win the semi-final. So my challenge to the room here is that Sweden have done outstandingly well, as you mentioned, 3 clear rounds. They will go last tomorrow. But the counter should be that technically Great Britain, who go in on 20 tomorrow, could maybe be the athletics semi-final, that they didn't have to go push for 3 clears today, because what difference would it make for tomorrow?
That's interesting, because there's a I don't know how I should describe it, but there's a difference between doing it right, doing it good enough to progress, or making mistakes. In our sport, we make mistakes. You make faults. You make penalties.
They don't casually ride to 20, yeah.
No,
I hear
yeah.
you.
I mean, it's something that you did not good in sprint. You can run your personal best, not go through. So it's
And I think also, I mean, this argument is whenever show jumping is compared to any sport, we're dealing with horses.
yeah.
And the horse that you get today is going to have normally less energy than it has tomorrow. Therefore, these things have to contribute to the rules and the formats of our sport. We don't have the same shoes that we run in the heat that we do in the final. The horse changes from day to day. The course changes also from day to day. We don't just run a straight line.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
We run.
There are a lot
we
of
ride.
There are a lot of variables. Yeah.
So, yeah,
There's so many more variables in show jumping as there are compared to athletics, and that's why, while you're right, the heat format leading up to the final works to the books in athletics and track and field and these sports. In show jumping, it needs to be more a conclusive result.
It's a test over. In my opinion, a championship has always been a test over several days.
There I agree with you.
Building up, and now tomorrow it's just that one day and that one round per rider. Three riders on a team. And okay, the drop score is already a massive improvement. Drop score is a fantastic concept that has been on Global Champions League since 2016, but now it's also in this team format. That's fantastic. But like I was unsatisfied with my feeling about the individual final or the individual medalist. The podium was correct, but the way we got there for me was okay. That's personal. Again here, we're going to see the Olympic champion is going to be the team that performs best tomorrow.
Which, in my opinion, it should be the team that performs as a team today and tomorrow.
In the team competition.
In the team competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Because today, after sort of halfway or 3/4 of the way, it was just get into the top 10.
Yeah.
Get into the top 10. Okay, this team is into the top 10. Okay,
So
the
Frederick
pressure
brought up
then is
Belgium a
not
few
off, but
times. So then, Frederick, do you feel that Belgium would have approached today very differently? Because as you mentioned, they went through on 4 time faults. That was it.
Yeah.
They would have approached today differently if they needed to press.
I was skeptical about, are the top countries being tested? They were not being put under pressure because of the format. But I didn't even think about what Lucas said, and I think that's the conclusion. If Sweden has burnt energy and gas to jump 3 clears, massive shout out to Henrik Ankarkrona and his team, fantastic. But if the Belgians and the Dutch, not the Dutch, they were a little bit, and the Germans needed to stay in touch to secure the medal tomorrow, they had to ride with lots more pressure.
And perhaps make a fault here or something,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah.
Speaking
That's
of
how it should
reaction, we actually managed to get some reaction as well, by the way. It's been an incredible games thus far for Sweden. I have no doubt that you are incredibly
Same
proud
here.
right now, because from the individuals, we spoke about clear after clear after clear. Today we get to the teams. Those clears are reproduced again, and Henrik was able to send us a voice note from Tokyo. Let's hear his reaction today following their triple clear this afternoon.
So we had a fantastic championship so far. The riders did a marvelous job individual. I wanted to give them a medal, all 3. Obviously that's not possible. We were not fast enough. But I mean, the preparations have gone super. The horses are in super shape, and the riders know exactly what to do. They have the experience. So we were delighted today that the horses kept jumping so good, still after 3 rounds, and one of them really fast. Happy going into the final as last team. However, as you said, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing was to qualify for the final. Everybody starts on 0, so in the end, nothing what happened so far means anything. The only thing we know is that we've done good so far, and the horses are in a very good shape. So we're going to try to do basically the same as we have done so far, and hope that it will take us all the way to the top of the podium. Thank you.
The point being made there. He acknowledges off the bat, well, what we did today means nothing.
Nothing.
We acknowledge that today was simply, for lack of a better term, qualification,
To get into
and we have to come back tomorrow and do it all again.
Being the devil's advocate, if you want to attract an audience, it's an exciting final. It's an exciting final because everybody starts on zero. It's very straightforward. It's very understandable. So that's a good thing. For outsiders, it's a good thing.
Traditionalists pulling their hair out.
Yeah, but from our understanding is that you can become Olympic champion with 27 faults in round one. That's the basic.
I think we as riders knows how difficult it is to be your best 2 days in a row. It is of course easier to be one day, have yourself and your horse on a top day and make a top performance, but to do it 2 days in a row, that is difficult. And I also believe that to be an Olympic champion in team or individual, but here in this place in team, you should be put on a difficult position, and that is to give results 2 days in a row. So I think.
But technically, you know, there's a term in sport as well where it says to be the best, you have to beat the best, right? So I wonder then if technically the challenge is still laid down to, let's call Sweden the favorites. I don't know if the room disagrees. Yep. They must be with, you know, the team that they have and the horses that they have, the clears they've been putting in. So let's put them down as the clear favorites tomorrow. The argument could well be, you know, you want to be the best, go do it again tomorrow. Jump 3 double clear or 3 clears
but
tomorrow.
How many times do they need to prove it?
Yeah,
but they had three into
yeah.
the individual final. They had 3 into the jump off, or they had 3 in the jump off.
Yep.
They had 3 clears today. How many times do they need to prove
Is the
that
question
they should
now
get a
not
medal?
that it's got to be a grueling
Yeah,
process? Are they not proving that, doing it tomorrow?
Grueling. It's not grueling. It's the same thing as having Penelope Le Prévost not compete in the final because she had one down. It is so difficult in any class to produce a clear that it's even more difficult to do it at the Olympics. And these clears of Sweden don't mean anything.
Let's throw it to Angelica because this
Let's
is the
talk
perfect.
about the clears. Let's go on the
This is the
positives.
perfect day to have you here, by the way, because Van Ackerman, Bayer Johnson, Fredrickson, King Edward, Indiana, all in. Jeez, Angelica, that is a lineup that will take some, regardless of format, that is a lineup that is going to take some serious beating tomorrow. Is this Sweden's to lose tomorrow?
I mean, the performance that they have done now, it's absolutely incredible. But if you look back also the whole year, they have been delivering results. So it's not that they have the weekend of their life.
And that's a good point.
They have been very consistent. It's not a surprise that they are delivering the results they do. They have each of them are a really, really good combination. I think what is so special is that all 3 managed to have themselves and the horses on a peak this week, because that is the difficult part with the show jumping. They try to build them up to this special moment,
and they need you to taper off at that very second.
Yeah, and all 3 managed to do it. And also big respect to our chef d'équipe, Henrik Ankakrona. He is doing a fantastic job. And I have also been lucky enough to be on the team a couple of times. And he gives some good and positive energy, and he makes you take the best out of you. And I think he's a huge part of the result.
Okay, so you've got a horse, you've got a rider. You put the rider on the horse, and you send them in the ring, and they have to do it. Talk to me, talk to us, talk to our audience. What does he contribute? What makes him different than a less successful team manager? What does he bring? What does a good team manager bring?
Good question, but it's the same. If you're gonna go in and you have an important day, I think what he does is he knows what each rider needs. In a way, this person you should be left a little bit alone. This one you should be pushing a little bit. This one has too much pressure on himself, so you need to, give him.
Sounds like he's a good people person.
I was just going to say, he's a people manager.
And he keeps a calm in the room. But then at the right moment, he does motivate you. He does make you believe that you can do it. And there is no... he's very quiet, but in the same time, he gives you the feeling
Fire.
you better go in and do your best.
We had one of our few Olympic medals we won last night. That's the Belgians in hockey. We won gold, and we have a coach called McLeod.
I like you just slid that in there now,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the way.
yeah.
Has
We-
nothing to do with the
little Belgian
conversation.
flag.
we don't win many medals.
You know
so
Belgium
what
won
is-
gold yesterday,
Can we
right?
talk about the 90 plus medals the United States has won?
Anyways, but but they give it's a foreign coach. They also give him the credit. He's not he's good technically, but those players are outstanding on a technical level. They're better than their coach. Their coach is just the perfect
He's the manager.
people manager.
Yeah,
He
that's it.
knows how to
Yeah.
fire up each and every one of them. He knows when to build the pressure and how to build the pressure and when to leave them off. And
Yeah, coaching and managing is all about
Very different, eh?
is very different from the sport that you're coaching or managing, because you're dealing more with the mind of your student or of your teammate of your team. I know there's a great program that I've watched last year on Netflix about a number of famous coaches, and there's a famous tennis coach that coaches Serena Williams, the French guy, Mouratoglou.
Coach's Playbook, I think, was the name of the show.
The playbook,
Yeah.
Oh,
the
the Playbook,
playbook.
yeah.
And the to me the one that really stuck out was the Serena Williams coach, and he was such a great reader of Serena's sort of body language, and once he got to know her mentality, and he always figured out a way, or he always told her something, the exact right thing in the exact right moment. And one thing that really stuck out to me was one time, I think in the first few rounds of Wimbledon, she wasn't running up to the net as quickly as she should have, and her numbers at the net were terrible. But the coach saw that, and then went to go tell her, listen, I have such a good feeling when you run up to the net, because I know you're almost always gonna finish the point and win the point. And she was like, oh yeah, really? And then it gave her sort of false sense of confidence when actually her numbers were terrible, but it gave her a sense of confidence to continue doing that. And then she went on to go on and win Wimbledon, the championship.
Because as Frederick said, he's
Because
not going to teach her to do it better.
She knows exactly what to
Yeah.
do, you know? She's an aggressive tennis player that always has run up to the net. But if she didn't have the confidence to do it, she was never going to do it and not win the points, you know? But she now had the confidence and was going to continue to do it. Perhaps if a coach sees that in the warm-up somebody is a little bit passive coming to the first few warm-up fences, and then the coach goes to them and says, I always love it because on the day you always see a perfect distance, you know? You always come out of the turn, and
You start to believe it.
I have such a relaxed feeling because you already see the distance through the turn. Then you start believing it yourself, and then you see actually the right distance, or having your horse
Yeah.
exactly how it needs to be. It's all about mentality, and that's what a great coach or a great team manager can instill in his students or his team.
well,
Absolutely.
yeah, Angelica, you and Marlon, you train a lot of people, a lot of riders. There's Leonie Peters. There's the young boy who's riding here behind us,
Yeah,
and
Leandro.
Leandro.
Who won a few classes, by the way,
Yeah.
at Tops International
Yeah.
Arena a couple of weeks ago. I interviewed him. Nice young boy.
Yeah.
Like Marlon, one day we came back from the it was the Vienna Grand Prix at the Raadhuis on the Global Champions. He was still riding with Clowney for Enda at the time. I think it was still for Enda. Yeah, in the Grand Prix where the famous shot where Enda was dancing or jumping on the kiss and cry. I don't know if you ever saw it. Brilliant images. And he started talking to me about the book on of Ayrton Senna, A Semenda da Vitória, of the Portuguese mentor of Ayrton Senna. And Marlon is also very much into that. Once the basics are there, let's stay a little bit more away from the technicalities and create the scene, the vibe, the atmosphere for the performance. Not so much the technicals. That's both of your training is very much onto that. No, when the technicals are there.
I think in show jumping is always back to basics. When you have the basics working, then the technical comes a little bit by itself. But if you don't have the basics, then it makes it difficult in the ring.
So, Lucas,
Totally agree. I mean, my coach Jerome, he's all about the base, how he calls it, the base. You know, the good flat work, having your horse riding how it needs to be, having it good for the leg, jumping straight, being able to land both leads, coming off the right and staying on the right lead. These things are what you try to put into a young horse when they're coming up. That being said, once that base is at such a high level, or as high as it can be perhaps for that horse, then you can work on these technical points. But then, that being said, one thing that my brother and I learned in the first year was we do all this work at home and training and this and that and having everything, try to have it as good as possible as we can for a competition. But then once we're here and once we go in the ring, like he says, you have to take the knife between the teeth. It's a Dutch phrase that we had no idea what it meant before. Before we started training 6 years ago.
It sounds very aggressive.
Yeah. It sounds very like pirate-like. But then somehow it came to us that, then once you're in, then you have to go and give it your best. And if in the ring, in these moments, like at the Olympic Games, like in the team final, you have to do something that maybe is not what you would do at home. Perhaps if you need to hold him a little bit to the right to come inside after the Liverpool to get to that oxer, and perhaps it might make the shape of the horse over the fence not exactly how it should be to the textbook. But if it gets the result in that moment, then do that. So that's what he means with take the knife between the teeth, and in the moments you must also fight for it, you know?
I think as a trainer, what I believe, you need to work on the basics a lot at home. Every single day work on the basics. Then when you go in the ring, you need to trust or know that the basics are there, that they sit in the back of your back, and then you need to ride with your feeling and your instinct.
Exactly.
And as a trainer also to make your student believe in their instinct, because sometimes you have a line where you have a plan and things doesn't work out, and you have to make them strong and believe that they can do plan B by themselves, that they don't only stick to the first plan. So in the ring, because everything can happen, you need to believe in yourself, and you need to go on your feeling in the ring. That's what we believe.
Frederick de Backer, my question to you. We've spoken now about mentality. We've spoken about basics. We've spoken about management. We've spoken about natural ability. Is there a team on this team sheet tomorrow out of these 10 teams that can take this away from Sweden?
Ooh. Yeah.
Put your Belgium flag in your pocket. And put your USA flag in your pocket. No, but it's a question to the room. And I know Angelica wants the answer to be Sweden, but is there a team, if we are talking about basics and management and all the factors that we spoke about, is there a team in this starting lineup top 10 tomorrow that can take this away from Sweden?
I would say 3 teams.
Oh,
and who are you?
Go ahead.
You guys didn't have one. Who are the 3 that can take this away from Sweden?
What do you say? Let's see if we have the same 3.
Okay. I'm always thinking that, and we said it in the previous podcast as well, every streak comes to an end. Every streak. Every continuation of success comes to an end, whether it's in football or a goalkeeper that hasn't conceded a goal in so many minutes or a team that hasn't lost, it always comes to an end. So the more clear rounds you jump, the closer you get to the fault. That's true, right? So that's A. They can lose it from themselves. That's A.
But then who's there to pick it up?
Who is there to pick it up? How do we feel about Switzerland?
Yes.
Strong.
It's very strong riders.
They have riders number 2, 3 in the world, and Brian Balsiger, who performed incredibly today. Yeah. He rode an amazing round, and his horse looks like it's fresh and ready to go.
In general, Clooney always grows in a weekend.
Clooney still looks great.
Yeah, and Steve Gerda was taken out. Had one fault in the individual qualifier and didn't qualify. Yeah. Now you had 2 down, which is very, very...
Perhaps to use your words against you, I mean, his streak of having 1 or 2 down might come to an end tomorrow.
But this is also the thing that was, I don't know if it's the right word, that tickles him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
irritates him.
He's for sure came into the Olympics being, number 2 in the world. He was for sure one of the favorites. He's obviously an incredible rider. He's a living legend. He's already been Olympic champion once. He's for sure not so satisfied with how his personal Olympics have gone. So he's definitely looking to put in a clear round and perhaps win a medal for Swiss.
Okay,
Switzerland.
Next team then is Germany.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
One team that I find very strong today.
Yeah. Are we continuing on Germany first? Let's continue on Germany if you're okay on that.
Yeah.
only time faults. Again, a team with a fresh horse, just like Switzerland brought in 22 de Biche and Brian Balziger. Germany brought in Maurice Tebbe with Don Diarado, who jumped a cracking round.
Yeah, looked great.
Thieme, for my feeling, also looked much more relaxed than in the individual qualifier, more at ease. And Deusser is Deusser.
Deusser is Deusser.
Yeah. So that's Germany. Any thoughts from you, Lucas, on Germany? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
So strong, you know. Deusser has all the experience in the world. Thieme and his horse have been so successful over the last couple of years. It's an incredible mare. I think the mare is one of the sharpest horses we've ever seen. It's an incredible mare. And Don Diarado and Maurice looked amazing today. And I'm sure they'll be looking, hopefully, to put in another clear round and give Germany a chance to not come in 4 overall, but to come in on 0.
And then my third team is Belgium. Also with a fresh horse.
Yeah.
So
I think those 3 horses jumped outstanding today.
Yeah.
And it's also 3 extremely strong riders.
how different is your list to that, Angelica?
It's exactly the same.
So are you telling me, and I'll just stir the pot now a little bit, are you telling me that, to Lucas's dismay, are you telling me that USA
has no chance?
USA
I don't know
and
about
no,
that.
listen, there's 2.
I don't know about
Are you
that.
telling me that
They've got a
USA,
good chance, I think.
USA and Great Britain
And France.
do not
actually.
feature in your picks
Yeah.
tomorrow?
No, they don't.
Which is totally allowed. I'm just saying that's a harsh reality there. We are saying that Team USA, and if I recall during the individuals, we spoke about how strong their team looked. They had a very disappointing individuals rounds. I get that, but we spoke about the strength of team and horsepower, etc. We were told to look out for them in the teams. USA doesn't feature. Great Britain doesn't feature.
Well, if we want to point out Great Britain, USA comes in with Jessica Springsteen on a very good horse, and she's a very talented rider. She's a 5-star Grand Prix winner, proper. But 2 riders that are, I have to be careful, Olympic gold medalists twice. So there's enormous
And-
experience
And Olympic silver.
and world
World
bronze.
champions.
What did they try on? A second.
Tryon, Laura
behind
was on the
Sweden?
team. Yeah, world champions.
And
I think you can't count
Yeah.
the United States out.
No. Oh, wait. So I'm just trying to make the point. Have got more experience on board. Haven't jumped a clear at all. Not one clear. Of course, they're all friends, but haven't jumped a clear. Great Britain come with much less experience. Harry
Because
Charles is a talent.
Ben Mayer and Explosion cannot win this on their own. That's the problem for Great Britain here,
Yeah.
correct? He cannot go there and grab all medals for this team. He needs the support around him, Ben Mayer.
No,
But
he
we
can't.
have
But
to-
he does have support. You know.
Holly Smith
Holly,
did a
Holly
strong round.
Very
Very
strong
strong
ride.
round
Yeah.
today.
jumped great, and Harry Charles had 12 points, but I must say it was not a round that perhaps deserved 12 points. It was a round that was actually quite better than that, and I expect him. He's a young rider like myself. He will go right back in there, as hungry as ever to try to improve his score.
Yeah, but we to like you said, to stir the pot, and we are talking about Olympic 1, 2, and 3 now, bronze, silver, and gold. So
Yeah.
you have to if it's only by a half a point, by 0.5% that they would not feature on the podium, this is the moment. So there, I don't think that that they're going to make it.
Lucas, does your head justify your heart when you say that the USA will feature? Because it's all good and well as
That's
a proud
a very
American.
good question.
A proud American, yes, they'll be there for sure. If you look at the stats, you look at the team, you look at the numbers, you look at the lack of clears this week,
Tell us, Lucas.
does your head
Tell us.
back up what your heart is saying?
Tell us.
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean,
Justify it to me.
McLean's horse jumped quite well today,
Yeah.
and I don't know what his reaction was after the round, but I'm sure it was a small fault towards the end of the course.
Yep.
Put that line again 9 times out of 10 that he doesn't, like, that fault doesn't happen, you know. Laura and McLean have many experiences already in the Olympic Games, winning gold medals. Jessie has also quite some experience jumping really successfully on Nations Cup teams at the highest level. I think you know, it hasn't really gone our way, and a few poles have fallen throughout the game so far for the United States, but something's got to give. Something's got to give. Those polls are going to stay up, I think, tomorrow, and I think we're going to be
Let me turn
for
it
sure in
around.
the
Does
top 3.
does that get into their heads? Again, no clear. Just
Not
just
not
understand.
not again no clear as an disappointment, you know, but again no clear. Come on, we got to give it everything. We're still right in
Mhm.
there, you know.
Yeah.
That's sort of how it's always. My brother and I were having a discussion the other day. It's hard to come in as the favorite, and Ben Mayer pulled it off perhaps, and won obviously the Olympic gold medal as the favorite. And it's they're sort of as a not the favorite, but sort of as a outsider mentality at the moment, because they haven't jumped those clear rounds, and because they're sort of in 5th. They're not in the best 3 yet.
And Frederick, the flip,
Nice.
But they're coming.
the
They're
flip,
coming.
the flip
Watch
side
out.
to your argument, Frederick, is that the fence has to come for Sweden. The flip side is that the clear has to come for the USA.
100%.
give.
Because with that team and that horsepower, to not go clear across 4 different days, the flip side could be it has to come. It might not come all tomorrow, but when will it be delivered?
Yeah, just to keep the argument alive, things will not be easier tomorrow.
No.
Things will not be easier. It'll be.
And those Belgian time faults will come against them.
No.
No time faults in the final tomorrow.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay, that's of course the same. That's the same for Switzerland or for Germany. But yeah, now you are allowed to make a time fault. So that's the discussion
you're
of
allowed.
were those teams tested? Yes and no. But yeah, and it's a good comment to make that also the negative streak comes to an end.
May I just say that we are currently running a competition, by the way. You will find a link on the Longines Global Champions Tour page where we are asking you to fill in a form and give us your gold, silver, and bronze medalists tomorrow. If you get it correct, 5 people will win a free annual Pro Pass to GCTV, by the way. So quick shout out, since we're talking about medalists on the podium tomorrow, go check out the Longines Global Champions Tour page. There is a link, fill in the form, put your podium essentially, and if you are one of the 5 correct members, you will win yourself an annual Pro Pass, by the way, so GCTV. So quick side note there.
About the side note, what's with the white cap here in front of us?
Well, this is another prize that we are giving away. We are full of prizes.
Surprises and prizes.
We are full of surprises and prizes. I am Oprah just pulling stuff out from underneath my chair, and everybody is getting something. That cap has been signed now by Angelica and by Lucas, and I believe we actually have a social winner as well already. Sarah McKee is our social winner today, who has shared our story, tagged someone, and of course is following Longines Global Champions Tour. And because of that, Sarah has now won herself a signed cap by our 2 guests today.
You get a cap signed by somebody with the longest signature in show jumping history.
Did it roll the halfway around
Angelica
the cap? And
Augustsson Zanotelli.
If you look at the cap, I didn't write Zanotelli.
No. Okay, we have to cut this part so Marlon doesn't hear it.
let's get back to the action
Yes,
tomorrow.
sorry.
So
I think we can't. Quick thing. I think we can't forget about France, Great Britain, and we are sitting here in the Netherlands. We cannot forget about the Netherlands.
but this suggests that we have a cracking day tomorrow, because we can talk about the format, we can talk about favorites, not favorites. We have Sweden seemingly. The USA can't be underwritten. We're now suggesting that France, Switzerland, Germany are in the mix. I mean, that means that a lot of drama has to follow tomorrow, because there is going to be a lot of heartbreak for some big teams tomorrow.
And another thing, that we cannot forget to mention is Ireland. Like, they had 3 very good riders, and no one expected them to not be in the final. They had a bad start today, and of course, something like that could happen tomorrow also to one of the teams. So, with the three riders had to count, many things can happen.
That's something that we can really agree on. No, the fact that there is no more drop score is a massive step forward, right?
It's a big change.
It's a big change.
A good
It's a
change?
big change.
Good
You
change?
don't. Ooh. Angelica?
Before the Olympics, I was not for it to have the 3. Now I don't know if I maybe changed my mind a little bit. It is maybe more fair to the other teams that all three has to count.
It does make when a round is not going the way you want it to, and perhaps it's becoming on the edge of making it to the finish. You have to consider horse welfare during those moments, and without a drop score, nobody is gonna.
I never considered that. You're saying
and okay, in most Nations Cup events, almost you rarely see a retirement, or you would not like to retire for your team. But sometimes at an Olympic Games or at a championship, it's not going your way, and to protect the welfare of your horse, to protect your horse for
the future.
its future.
Are you saying
sometimes it's better to call it quits?
Are you saying in disguise that if there was a drop score, that maybe Shane Sweeten would have retired?
I'm not sure if he would have, because like I said, it would have been the Olympic Games, and you want to fight for your team. But
now he didn't have the option. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But the
He
point
doesn't
you're
have that
making, the
option.
point you're making is a strong one, because you're suggesting that horse welfare is so important, as it is, and rightly so, that one would imagine that there should be nothing bigger in the world than winning an Olympic medal. And the point you're making now is that
Winning
horse
the Olympic medal and having your horse
That's
being
it.
able to enjoy that championship.
the well-being
as
of that
much as you
horse is
have.
actually more important than winning an Olympic medal.
Yeah, of course.
Because
There's no
without
doubt about
the
that.
creature that you sit under, you
such
don't
an,
have that
is
Olympic
such an
medal, yeah.
important image, exactly. Because if you think about it, anyone would cut off a toe to win an Olympic medal, but so strong is the bond and the relationship between the two athletes, the horse and the rider.
Of course,
that
the medal is
welfare-
as much the rider's medal as it is the horse.
Format-wise, so we've already discussed that we not everybody is a fan of starting on a clean sheet tomorrow. Rider changes, horse changes tomorrow. Do you think, could you predict any horse changes? Because it is actually an option. It was an option, of course, coming into the three riders that rode individually. There was a new rider that could ride for the team. There is an option to bring in a new rider for the second round. It costs penalties. It costs something. There's also horse welfare that is involved. That does make it possible without penalties. But
What about Holland, Netherlands? They have,
they have Harry Smolders there
Smolders.
with Bingo du Park.
which is a extremely good option. Saying I don't know.
No, but
It's
that
all-
would mean so everybody's starting on clear. You start, and you have those extra faults that are given for the change. You
What
start on
are
the
the
back foot.
faults? Are you able to clarify
No,
off your head?
no,
Okay, but
yeah.
that at least you've made the point now that it does come at a cost.
Unless it's a veterinary aspect. If I wrote it well on Well of Show Jumping.
Brazil,
Yuri Mansour.
they have Yuri Mansour. Maybe they will change him, also put him onto the team.
Depending on how Rodrigo feels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard to know when we don't have the feedback from the
Yeah.
riders, what feeling they had
Yeah.
today. So it's hard to say from outside just what you see on the TV. But I believe we
That's where-
might see at least one change for tomorrow.
And that must be so heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, but that's where maybe we want to come back to what can make or break a top class, really legendary chef to keep or team manager. You know, maybe the result was a good result today, but if the rider doesn't have a super feeling and your team manager sort of sees that or sees something that maybe they're not feeling it could go again for the second round, they make that change. That's where
But it's about having that knowledge, that insight, that gut
knowledge
feel.
of your riders and the knowledge of the horses and how they should jump and what kind of course we can expect tomorrow. Tomorrow we will see the water jump come back into competition like we didn't see it today. You know, it's a bunch of factors to consider. And the penalty that is associated with the change that's not for veterinary reasons.
I think also it's, excuse me,
No, go ahead.
the riders, they want the best for the team. So I think if they feel like the number 4 rider can do better, I think they are really okay about going to the side for tomorrow.
Yeah, if it translates into a team medal, you of course make the decision for your country, for your team. I just think, I have no doubt that individually there must be a very that must be a heartbreaking moment to say, you know what, I will step aside for this because it's for the better, of the team. But that's got to be a tough call.
If there's a rider change and that team wins a medal, does the rider that rode today that doesn't ride tomorrow still get a medal?
Surely.
I
They
don't have the answer.
contributed.
I don't have the
They
answer.
theoretically contributed to the medal because they allowed the team to come into the final.
So let me ask a different question. For Paris 2024, where the Swedish team will also have Angelica, Augustsson, Zanotelli on their lineup, Kalinka, should it be a part of that tactical gameplay, strategical gameplay, that a horse has, for example, jumped the individuals, doesn't jump first round teams, comes on easily.
Perhaps creates more strategy.
Exactly. I was about to say that should be seen as tactical.
Creates more strategy.
And if who won? Italy. Italy wins the World Championship. They make a set of substitutions during the game and during the semi-finals, and there's a player who played in the semi-finals, didn't play in the final. Italy win the World Championship. They all get a medal.
Yeah. So therefore, I think if you make that substitution and you're subbed off, you should still for sure get a medal.
Absolutely.
You have played such a team
role.
event.
Yeah, it
shouldn't
be
performance.
It shouldn't be about who's there on the final day. Granted, they might be the face of the podium receiving it, but there is such a strong contribution being made by the rider before you to put you in that position.
And thinking that Sweden is going to win gold, the Rolf Göran Bengtsson is as much a value on the team as of the team.
Absolutely.
He's as valuable in the warm-up as a man who has won the Tour, who has won so many Grand Prix, who was second in Beijing. He's been there, he's done it, he's got so much experience, he's got a very good eye. He's just as valuable off the team as on the team.
And I think also there is riders who don't want to go when they are number 4, when they are reserved. But this championship, we have seen that actually so many times the number 4 rider actually got to ride, which is very interesting. And also in Rolf's position, he didn't get to ride, but I believe that he feels as involved as the other ones. And I also believe a lot in team spirit, and I think that Sweden has an extremely strong team spirit, and that's also what makes them so good this week. They all get along really long together. The number 4 rider is not someone who is unhappy on the side. He's there, he's motivating, he's being part of it. Our chef de keep the same, really motivating, and I think this is what brings them as a unit together and really, really
exactly.
strong.
That's reflecting on the screen every time we watch them perform, because it's not just about how good is Peter Fredriksson, how good is his 2021 been. As you're saying, it's a healthy environment. It is great mentorship. It is good management. It's good horses. It's good riders. And back to the original format discussion of whether or not it's deserved, if you can tie all of that in together in the same time and the same team for the same championship, then that for me is gold medal material.
Because this is the first time, what did Rolf post? Can't be anything but proud of being reserved for this team. That's what he posted on social media.
It's as important for
Big
him.
Congratulations, yada, went on. But this is the first time, I think, in my recollection, that once the championship starts, the reserve rider is still in the game. Normally, when the bell goes for the first rider on any championship in the first qualifier, your weekend is over. You can just as well go home, and it happened to a few that they just went home.
True.
And here, you're always in contention. And there was a few riders over the last 2 months that said, if I have to go as 4th, I think it also happened on the Swedish team, I have to go as 4th, I prefer not to go.
But it's that kind of attitude that might not translate into what we're seeing with Sweden right now. Not to say that an unhappy 4th rider will lose you a medal, because the 3 that you have may well get it for you. That's luck of the draw. But it's that potential toxicity that might translate in the ring later by the 3 that are actually coming out to perform.
If the basics of this format about changing riders continues, I can imagine that from now on the 4th rider is a proper, the reserve rider, I have to say the reserve rider is a proper full 100% valuable rider.
Ready to go step in. That's the trick as well.
if they did not have, I just as an example, if they did not have Peter de Vos, Belgium was in trouble.
Yeah.
If they did not have
Peter
um,
Charles or
Harry Charles,
Harry Charles.
yeah, Scott Brasher's horse unfortunately couldn't compete. Thank God Harry Charles was there. Okay, Harry Charles already stepped in for Holly and individuals. And let's not forget, and I couldn't wrap my head around it.
France?
Because, no, yeah, also, but Brazil. I was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen Cabrit Lille and I haven't seen Carlitos Way. So you're really close to the Brazilian team. Was that always the idea to just have those horses there for the team championship?
I think a lot happened in the Brazilian team the last month with the horses not being fit. But for the last couple of weeks, that's from what I heard was always the idea that those two horses came there for the team. And I think also those two riders, they are extreme, same again, they go for the team, they go for the country, and I think for them the team was much more important than the individuals for themselves, which I believe it's a very strong thing to do, to put your individual medal or chance to a medal on the side to do that for the team.
So let's stop dancing around the issue as we approach the end of our program shortly.
No, I thought we were only halfway.
No, I'm afraid not. Podium tomorrow. Lucas, go for it. And
In order?
You're buying Angelica time. She's like, oh, thank goodness. Go for it.
In order?
Yeah, I don't want a top three because that might be too easy. Your podium tomorrow to say that they are Team Olympic champions.
Number one.
Frederick may never say anything nice about me ever again, but I'm gonna put Sweden on top.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Not
going
many
to leave Belgium out of the top three, aren't you?
Not many will fight you. We got two to go. Sweden won.
I'm gonna put Germany number 2,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna put
America.
USA as bronze.
So Sweden,
Really? Wow.
Sweden
I
gold.
was stuck between USA as silver or bronze, but I think Germany is gonna do one better than they did in Rio.
And I like that he justified it with his head, because it's easy to come out and say USA and tell me that they'll be on the podium. He has justified why he thinks they will be there. So I asked the same question to you, Angelica. Your podium tomorrow, officially Team Olympic gold, silver and bronze.
That will be Sweden as gold. Silver will be Belgium, and bronze will be Germany.
You didn't mention Brazil.
Marlon Zanotelli will be number 1 for me.
Forever,
always,
yes.
But unfortunately,
You don't
I
see
think
it.
they will miss out on the medals tomorrow.
Is that because of today's performance? Sorry, I quickly segue.
Mhm.
Is that because of today's performance, or would you have thought it previously based on their riders and their horses?
Yeah, when they went there, did you think, so before today, did you think they were in for a medal? Team medal?
Yes, I thought they had a very good chance.
Yeah. Okay.
So what you saw today, did that affect your thoughts around
Yes,
it?
but actually I could just change something here, because we don't know what's happening tomorrow with the Brazilian team, if they have the same setup tomorrow,
Mhm.
or if Yuri will come in, maybe replace Rodrigo. Yuri's horse jumped really good in the individuals.
Yep.
So
Does that change put them on the podium for you? If Yuri comes in, do they then squeeze into the podium?
God, I'm saying things here that I maybe should not say in TV, but
If
I think that if they put Yuri tomorrow, I think they have a better chance.
Okay. But again, that
That's fair.
strengthens the team. That's
Yeah.
decisions. That's tactics. That needs to be taken.
Before you put me under pressure for my top three, may I remind you that we not only does everybody start on clear, we have the first rider of each country, the second rider of each country, then we have a break, then we see how it stands. The best ranked team sends in his or her third rider last. The lowest ranked team sends in the third rider as first to go.
Okay.
So that also has an influence. Plus, with 3 riders to go, no drop scores, nothing being carried through from the previous rounds, we are very likely to have a jump off.
Interesting also, we don't really know exactly, but if you change the rider, what score you get, if you get extra penalties or not. So that's also important point.
Interesting. Right, Mr. De Backer.
Yeah. I from a sports perspective, I really want Sweden to win. Really, it's been for me. If they don't win, I will never be able to say it on commentary. But for me, they are already 90% Olympic team champion. For me.
But crucially, that 10% is the hardest 10%.
That's the one, and now they have to. But I would like Sweden to win. I would like Belgium to come in second, and then I would love I would love Sweden to win clean, on 3 clears again.
Wow.
And I want a jump off with 3 countries for the other 2 medals. And in that jump off, we have Switzerland, Germany, and Belgium, where Belgium wins it for silver.
Wow.
And Germany comes in third.
And Germany third. It's a tough break for Switzerland.
That's quite a detailed prediction.
He's been thinking about, you just
You've
been
been
like, I
thinking
want
about this
them,
one.
them, and them. And he was like, let me explain how and where and clears
You've been
and
thinking
jump
about
offs.
this.
Yeah.
And
That's a big call, yeah. But I'm telling you guys, don't count the U.S. out. Don't count the U.S. out, and don't count the Dutch out. I don't know what program they're going to use tomorrow, riders wise. Keep the same. Bring in Harry. Sub out. I don't know. But they're fresh off a bronze medal. They've been super successful in championships over the last many years. Rob Aarons is a legendary chef to keep. He knows the things to say in the right moments. He knows when to say to not say the things in the wrong moments.
Yeah.
I think we can't forget about the Oranje.
And the main reason, why I want Sweden to win is because I want women on the podium. Not that I want women on the podium specifically because they are a woman, but I want also Marlon there. It only counts for 2% in my prediction, but I want it to happen.
okay, we'll find out all tomorrow what takes place. We have the team final. We've discussed formats, we've discussed possibilities, we've discussed team changes and lineups and starting from zero. We'll find out tomorrow as to which country will be able to call themselves gold medalists, silver medalists, and bronze medalists at the end of the 2021 Olympic Games in Tokyo. Lucas, thank you for your time. We've
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed having you here for the afternoon, watching the event with us, being able to get your thoughts, pick your brain. It's been really cool having you. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
You enjoy yourself?
For sure.
Okay, very cool. Angelica?
Thank
You've
you.
given us such insight, not just to Sweden, not just to Brazil, but to the entire games. And we thank you for your time today as well.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to chatting with you again tomorrow, sir. You'll be joined, or we will be joined, I beg your pardon. Michael G. Duffy.
Yeah.
Is-
That's going to be tough for him because he was ready to come and cheer on the Irish for the medal.
So let's just check in
Ooh,
that
I
he's still
have to
coming
make
tomorrow.
sure,
Let's
yeah,
just
yeah.
send him a message, because if he decides that he has fallen sick and doesn't want to come tomorrow, Josh Falloy will be with us on his own. So Josh Falloy, Michael G. Duffy joining us tomorrow. And we will be unpacking the team final for you here on GCTV. A reminder that these podcasts are available for you for free with your GCTV Access Pass. All you need to do is sign up. I remind you as well, very quickly, that there are still tickets available, by the way, for the London Longines Global Champions Tour event as well.
And who's coming?
Oh, are we allowed to say yet? Do we know? Is it out yet? I don't know if it is.
Tell you
so
tomorrow.
Yes, we don't know if we're allowed to say that, so let's not say it on air. But yes, there is some very exciting news about the London event. There are a handful of tickets still available, so if you will be in the area or you wish to travel to the area to watch the Longines Global Champions Tour event in London, go and check out the website. Tickets are still available. Again, Lucas, Angelica, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Frederick, as always.
Thank you.
We'll catch up again tomorrow. Team final coming up here tomorrow at GCTV. You'll find it all there. Signing out from Tops International Arena. I'm Mark Lewis. Thank you for joining us. We'll chat tomorrow. Bye-bye.